My name is Armando. I'm 21 years old. I am from Orlando, Florida, and I've been training at the House of Champions for about 5 months since May. If I were to introduce myself to someone or put myself into words as to who Armando is, it would be passionate. I am passionate and I like to think everything I do and everything I am. Yeah, being able to create has always been like the number one thing for me as far as pursuing those different endeavors. Obviously, things like being well known or liked or the money aspect of it all is a nice bonus, but for me, I've always needed that to sort of fill up my cup. And it wasn't until a few years ago where I really got into storytelling. I really enjoy storytelling, whether it be with music or with wrestling or with drawings. I remember, and specifically with music, the last record we had made was sort of like a concept record, and that was something that I felt really passionate about. And the ones going forward that I had written were sort of concept records as well, stories, and that's the main reason why I got into wrestling, was to be able to entertain and tell stories while making a living for my family. If you were to count my generation, it'd be we'd be the fifth generation, so 5 generations of circus performers. The most history that I know of is obviously my dad and his siblings, and up to my grandpa on my dad's side. He's the one that kind of introduced them into circus. And I know my grandpa's dad, my great-grandpa, was also a part of the circus. I don't know too much about him, but that's the furthest that I could bring it back to. The first performance that I can think of was when I was about 4 years old. It was here in the States. We, at the time, were working for a traveling fair, and my family had like their own show there. It wasn't like we were working for a show. And there was this act called the Russian swing, which is essentially this like board that kind of swings like this, and then someone stands in the front while people are like pushing in the back, and then you jump off it into like a net. You can do flips with it, like in the air, whatever you would like to do. And I would always like mess around and play on it when I was little. Like, just being in the circus, you always play around like before the shows, pretend you're doing your own acts and stuff. And they essentially had me doing a jump in the actual show that people came to see. And I remember just doing the jump, and it was night, and then getting down, and you would style after your little trick that you did, and I just styled and felt like a rock star. I had gotten a guitar for my 10th birthday because one of my oldest cousins had a guitar like 2 years before that, and I looked up to him and I really wanted one. And then from there it just kind of spiraled, and discovering different music, different bands. It's something that I really wanted to do myself. In early 2022, I was still in my last band at the time. We had just released our last record in November of 21, and we were trying to plan for the next one, and we were making some shifts as far as members go within the band. It kind of all happened in sort of one day, where one of my band members left the group, like my main best friend in the group, and kind of like the one I started it with. It was just him and I. He had left the group, and I quickly realized about a month or two later that he had formed another band with the other band member. And so I was really hurt by that. And it kind of left a very sour taste in my mouth as far as music goes. And I tried to keep the ball rolling and tried to figure out different things that I could do. I realized that that project was over. So I was thinking of, okay, what's the next step? What's the next project that I would do? And I thought of potentially creating another band, but I kind of had that, I was a little bit hesitant to trust new people. And I thought of doing something just by myself, but I really like collaborating with other people. And eventually I would just try to continue writing music, but just nothing would come to me, and then I just kind of lost the passion for it. I was burnt out as well. We were going like pretty much 3 years strong every day. I would do not only the practices and writing songs, but I would do like her social medias and marketing, all of that, like video editing. Like it was very exhausting. So I took a little break for a while, and from there I just kind of like always thought maybe I'll go back to it, but I didn't really find that spark to ignite me again as far as music goes. It was defeating, very defeating, because I had essentially put all my eggs in that basket. I had thought that that was what I was going to do, that that's what I was going to pursue, that that's what was going to be the rest of my life. And it just kind of got away from me without my consent. Yeah, so that time period of ending music and beginning wrestling was a pretty long time period, almost a year. When I had finished music, maybe a few months afterwards, 2-3 months afterwards, I really started thinking about getting into wrestling. Again, just giving it that try, but I knew deep in the back of my mind, no matter what, I was just gonna go through with it. But at the time, I was like, me the way I am right now, I need to change something within myself if I really want to do this. If I'm gonna be in the top % of people in this business, I need to change my body, my mind, the way I act, the way I walk, I like literally everything. So I had pushed myself to start going to the gym, losing weight, trying to get into better shape. And I was originally gonna wait a little bit longer to start training. And then I was just scrolling on Instagram one day and I saw the lion like behind me over here. I looked through everything and I saw just like the messages they were putting out. I saw how serious it seemed that they were taking everyone's future training, and things like the recovery area and the weight room, all of that really stood out to me. And seeing videos of like Jamie's beautiful face just talking, like it was it was all stuff that really sold me. And I saw they were having a soft opening, so I was like, let me go check it out, let me see how it is. I heard the horror stories of wrestling training, wrestling schools, getting into the business. Most famous one, of course, being Hulk Hogan breaking his leg just first day. Like I've heard all those stories, and so I was a little hesitant to get into it, because not that I was necessarily scared per se, but I was like, I don't know if I want to have that sort of environment in my life. And the first day I walked here, immediately Renee went up to me and was like, hey, I'm Renee, nice to meet you. Like, I was like, oh man, like you all are very welcoming. So I checked it out and I immediately signed up that first day. It's better than I expected it to be. I'll be 100% honest. As far as like the way I would progress and all, this is the way that it should be. And I'm like realizing that, and this is the way that, not that I thought it would be, but the way that I would have wanted it to go. But knowing other people's experiences with different trainings and different training styles, I'm very grateful for what I have here. It's something that I probably won't realize that is as great as it is until way later on. So you all can follow me at THHE Metal on Instagram and TikTok. That's where you can find me, so The Metal, just anywhere.